Hey, welcome back to the workshop. I really appreciate you returning. Unless this is your very first time here, in which case you should go and hit the little subscribe button so you can follow along with this build. We have a very interesting project here today, and I'm excited about it. I think you guys will really enjoy this one. So have a look here. This looks like an old military style knife. This was sent in by a client of mine. And obviously we have no handle, but it looks like we have all the components. So anything that was able to dry up or rot and dissolve off of there has already done so. I'm guessing a leather stacked handle. That's what I intend to replace it with. This blade has seen better days. It's a little rough there now. And I can see, even through some of the rust and corrosion, right here, you can see right there, there's a hint of some kind of writing or something. I'm hoping it's some branding. We don't really know what it is at this point, but I'm hoping we can uncover that and find out exactly what this is. Now we have an interesting situation back here where I'm not exactly sure, and when you're doing old restorations like this, sometimes the design styles can vary. And we have what looks like, you can see 3 layers, kind of tough to see, 3 layers of material, so not one solid block. That was probably done for cost's sake instead of one chunk of material. I don't know what material this is. I'm guessing a steel, maybe cast. Looks like we have a little bit of knurling on there. But these used to be, or at a period of time, there was a block put on here, and then there was a cross pin through the tang. Now there is no sign of a cross pin anywhere. You can see really good there in the light now. And this is kind of malformed here, and it's a kind of a through tang. So I'm thinking that this is peened out. I'm thinking this is peened out, and that this is a shoulder right here. And the only way to test that is to grind this off. We're going to lose this knurled face. We'll see what we can do about that later. Maybe we'll try to recreate it. Maybe we'll just do a smooth face. We'll see. But for right now, we just got to see if we can get it disassembled, because we can't do anything like a new leather stacked handle or something like that without first removing this pommel here. We have a little movement, a little recession beneath, but gotta say, this one has me stumped. I think our issue might be 100 years of corrosion in there. I'll apply heat if I have to. Did we get it? How this was designed. Now that is a strange one, so have a look at the width of this tang protrusion. And have a look at this. So this did have a shoulder. Was there a piece welded on? I'm not sure how that would have worked. Narrow, but this has a full width. Really don't know how that one works. We'll deal with how to repair that later, but for now, let's see if we can get some of this corrosion off of this thing. A Cattaraugus 2250, a World War II knife. Very interesting. Now I'm looking at this and I'm starting to wire wheel it, and the pitting, the rust on there is just too deep and aggressive for the wire wheel to remove. So what I'm going to do is go ahead to the Scotch-Brite, the surface conditioning belt on the belt grinder. I don't want to touch that name, but I do need to get rid of some of this deep pitting, so I'm going to have to resort to the surface conditioning belt, because this one, well, I think the surface speaks for itself there. Have a look what I have set up here. I have the blade clamped here to the table. Everything's flat. I'm hoping this will act as a good thermal mass. Well, of course it will. It's 1/4 inch plate steel, but it'll give us good thermal mass. We've got a little tab here of some steel. We're going to fill this in with a little bit of TIG, then we'll grind it. We'll have to trim it later. I use a Lincoln Electric. This is a 140 MP for multi-process, and I love it. It gives me so many options here in my little shop, from TIG welding like we're going to set up now. I just pulled the roll of wire out of it, and the last time I was welding on my dad's work plow. We were out doing some welding, so it really gives you a lot of options. You can run stick, TIG, MIG, flux core. There's no scale to which this shop is incapable of handling. Have a look at what's outside the window there. On the road again, we'll see where that gets from this time. TIG welding requires argon. That right there is exactly what I wanted. We have a nice protruding tang again there now. We'll grind that off. You'll never know that there was a piece welded on there. Okay, now we have to start getting some leather for that stacked leather handle, and I've been keeping a bunch of scraps here, and this is a beautiful use of leather scraps. So we're going to do roughly a bunch of pieces like that. They don't have to be perfectly consistent because we're going to grind our shape in later, but roughly like that. They need to be bigger than what we need. That way they don't have to be perfectly centered. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. Now, you don't need glue for this process, but I have always used a little bit of glue in there just fine. When all the pieces are attached to each other, down the road you don't get those individual wiggly pieces if the leather starts to shrink up a little bit. I just think it's a better setup. These are very snug fit on the tang as well. Beautiful. Remember, when it comes down to it, the very last stage, your handle can only be as big as the smallest piece of leather that you cut. So if you have one skinny piece, a little bit too narrow, you have to profile your whole handle down to fit that narrow one. See, this is just slightly protruding now. We're able to pull that off. We've got to peen this out and down. That's the peening process. We mushroom it out so it forces or wedges this down nice and snug. And this can take a little while. Yeah, it's something on there. The pommel looks good, nothing buffed or anything there yet, but that's just a rough finish, but looking really good. Everything's super tight here. So I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can hog off some bulk of this leather before I take it to the grinder. It'll just make a little less dust and hopefully go a little bit faster. I'm about to run over to the grinder, but I thought I had to show you this first just because it's pretty satisfying. Just watch this. Isn't that nice? That's how a leather stacked handle, a traditional leather stacked handle works. Just like that. I mean, if you want to spend enough time, you could easily carve this down to size and shape with an X-Acto style knife, and then a little bit of sandpaper, finish it off, and you're done. Of course, we're going to expedite the process here now. Now for probably the most satisfying part of the project. We're ways from done. Still need to do all the sharpening, everything. But we're going to do a range tan. This is a bit of a judgment call. You could go with whatever here. Going to go with a range tan. And this EcoFlow is like a water-based dye. It's nice. This is going to probably swell up the leather a little bit. And just draw everything a little bit tighter. It's also going to put a little bit of age character back in it. So right now it looks so like fresh and dainty. When this goes in, it's going to kind of give it that World War vibe while still being fresh, beautiful, hydrated leather. That's nice. I'm just using another piece of leather here now to burnish this while it's still damp from what we just applied. When leather is damp and it gets hit with friction like this, look what happens. You see that? Look at that, suede, burnished. And it's heat friction. So let's have a look here now. I've got to be a lot more gentle because we have a real edge on there now. Have a look at that. I try to do, whenever I have like a real rough blade like that, you have to grind in a bevel. I try to do a good job convexing it in so it's not such a harsh transition, it doesn't stand out, as you can see there now. This thing had pretty much no tip on it when it came in. I mean, it was really probably a 1/16 thick of flat edge there on, if you were to look down at the edge like this. So I actually had to bring that whole edge back and then profile in, which is why you have this bunch of fresh steel out here. But now you have a usable edge. That beautiful leather. That peen bolster there. Like I said, I'm leaving that kind of satin finish. We don't want it too prim and polished, too perfect, because it'll just throw it off from the blade. I think that blade looks nice as well. It's a nice level of cleaning there. I gave it a little scrub with the buffing wheel. Everything just looks really nice. I'm quite happy with it at this point. Let's just do a little edge test here. This is my piece of printer paper. Yeah, I'd say that's I'd say we're left with a working knife there now. And that tip where we had no edge, now we have a beautiful, beautiful edge. This would make someone, this beautiful old knife would make someone a beautiful heirloom hunting knife at this point. You know, it doesn't always have to be the brand new and the fanciest and the perfect. This would be a beautiful hunting knife and would serve someone for a lifetime if taken care of properly. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate you spending the afternoon here with me in my workshop. And if you want to see the remainder of this project, that is building the leather sheath, make sure you tune in to an upcoming video. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button so we get a little extra support from YouTube on this video. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to see me restore or sharpen. I'll see what I can do for you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.